Welcome to Tritiyo Matra. Dear viewers, our guest tonight is a renowned figure in the diplomatic community, the Turkish ambassador to Bangladesh, His Excellency Mustafa Osman Turan. Throughout his career, he worked at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs departments on the Middle East, NATO and Euro-Atlantic security and defense affairs, arms control and disarmament, and multilateral economic affairs. Before being appointed as the ambassador to Bangladesh on January 15, 2020, he was based in Ankara as the Deputy Director General for Multilateral Economic Affairs. As a career diplomat, he worked in Italy, Albania, Macedonia, Kosovo, Austria, Afghanistan, and Belgium. Mustafa also has experience in the field of social entrepreneurship. His passion is to host meaningful conversation in inspiring places. Ambassador, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's been almost 3 years since you joined the Turkish embassy in Bangladesh. Now your term is about to come to a close. How has your overall experience been regarding Bangladesh?
My experience was very exciting. I came, as you said, in 2020, just before COVID pandemic hit the world. And in my second month, we saw the first case of COVID, and that followed with lockdowns and a lot of measures taken by the government. So those days were difficult, but later on, as the waves lost their significance, I was able to travel the country. I met with many different government officials, business circles, cultural circles. So I really enjoyed my stay. It was very, very positive.
And by this time, during your tenure in Bangladesh, you became a golf drama DJ.
Yes, I started playing golf in Bangladesh because it was one of the best things to do during COVID times in open air in Kurmitola Golf Club. And I not only played golf, but also they made me the president of Tiger Golf Club, which I have now transferred to my Indonesian colleague yesterday. We had a farewell dinner. It was a very pleasant experience. I took our golf club members to Antalya last August. 70 of them came. We had a very good time. I did also other things, as you said. I started riding a motorbike, playing basketball, coaching some women's basketball teams, or even being a DJ at events I organized. Yes.
Very, very interesting indeed. In the last week of December, you had a meeting with the Honorable Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. As we learned from the news media, our Prime Minister sought robust Turkish investment in Bangladesh alongside cooperation in the sustainable repatriation of Rohingya. Would you like to share more about the meeting with our audience? Is there any concrete plan that came out from the meeting?
Yes, Honorable Prime Minister was happy with the level of our bilateral cooperation so far. It's going really well because our trade is improving. It increased from $850 million to $1.3 billion now in 3 years. Our investments also doubled in 3 years. We have 3 major investors in Bangladesh, one in the RMG sector, one in household electronics, and the other one in the LPG sector. And the Prime Minister asked our business people to invest more in Bangladesh. In fact, that's exactly what's happening. There are 2 major investment negotiations taking place currently, which I cannot disclose, but soon you will hear some breaking news that Turkish investors will be coming to Bangladesh even more. So that was one major request from the Prime Minister. We will also participate in the FBCCI Business Summit
in March.
In March. So that's an important occasion to have discussions. As you know, recently FBCCI and BIDA organized a roadshow in Istanbul, which helped our businesses to understand the potential in Bangladesh. Later on, Dhaka Chamber of Commerce and Industry went to Istanbul with a large delegation, over 80 members, and they met with over 200 business leaders in Turkey. So I think all these contacts have created an increased level of curiosity and interest in Bangladesh. And I'm sure that in the months and years to come, these will create some really fruitful results.
Mr. Mustafa Osman Turan, on January 17 of this year, the Bangladesh Turkey Business Forum, BTBF, was officially launched with an aim to promote bilateral relations. And I must say that this is, I think, one of the big achievement during your tenure in Bangladesh as an ambassador of Turkey. In your opinion, what role can Bangladesh-Turkey Business Forum play in strengthening bilateral trade relations?
Thank you for acknowledging this important milestone in our economic relations, because we already had a business council in Istanbul for Bangladesh, but we didn't have, when I came, we didn't have a business platform for Turkey. So now we have it. I have been working on this for the last 2 years. I met with business leaders in Bangladesh one by one. These are large companies, and it's not easy to convince them to come together and work for bilateral cooperation. So what I found was there was a growing interest also in Bangladeshi businesses for partnership with my country. So we convened this business forum and launched it last 17th of January with the participation of Honorable Advisor to the Prime Minister, Mr. Salman F. Rahman, was also our chief guest, and we invited the media. And as you said, this forum will promote partnerships, business partnerships, with an aim to increase trade and investments, but it will also help facilitate these partnerships. We are hoping that they will visit my country in September this year, and we will also bring the two countries together through cultural exchanges to understand each other even better.
How many companies are member of this forum from Bangladesh and Turkish side?
From Bangladesh, we have 13 large business groups. From Turkey, we have 4 business groups who are operational in Bangladesh.
Okay.
But there are more coming as investors from Turkey, and they will also join the business forum when they arrive in Bangladesh.
Okay. Ambassador, in an interview a while back, you said, I quote, "It is a priority for us to increase our trade. In 2020, the overall trade volume between Bangladesh and Turkey was around 850 million US dollar. Now it has passed the 1 billion US dollar threshold. We aim to increase it up to 2 billion USD in a couple of years," unquote. Can you share your thoughts or a possible plan to increase the trade relation?
Yes, this past year, in 2022, the volume increased to $1.3 billion. So we are coming close to our target of $2 billion, and this is a very balanced trade. So we export and import almost equally. So we buy more the traditional products from Bangladesh, such as jute. Jute is an important item of export from Bangladesh to my country, and we are mainly using it for our carpet industry. We also currently we are exploring the possibility of importing more pharmaceutical products. We want to diversify our trade. Maybe leather products. We are looking into ICT sector as a service sector. What we export from my country to Bangladesh is more RMG machinery, chemicals, and cotton, We also want to explore diversifying our exports to Bangladesh. We are hoping to convene a joint economic commission meeting in Dhaka very soon. I also discussed this with the Honorable Prime Minister, and she agreed with me that the sooner this commission meets, the better.
As you mentioned, Bangladesh's progress in the ICT, pharmaceutical and leather industries. Among these three potential export sectors, which one do you believe Turkey might be most interested in investing in, if any at all?
I think ICT sector is coming up very strongly because Bangladesh has also now moved from digital Bangladesh vision, which is almost accomplished, into a smart Bangladesh vision, which the Honorable Prime Minister announced recently. And I have very close relations with the ICT Minister, Minister Pollock, and he explained me their plans, their priorities in the area of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, or robotics and nanotechnology. These are all areas where we can collaborate. And I am very happy that there is a more growing interest in my country towards Bangladesh, as they see that Bangladesh now has more than 650,000 freelance IT professionals who provide online services. So that's a good indicator, and there are more than 2,000 startups. Every day there are new potential investment opportunities in Bangladesh in the ICT sector. High-tech parks are just one of those, for example. So we are exploring these avenues, and we are hoping that Minister Pollock will visit my country soon to talk in more detail.
Mustafa, in a recent interview with UNB, you said that you were trying to promote Bangladesh in Turkey because the business community there does not know enough about the country and the opportunities it offers. What do you think of the investment climate of Bangladesh at the moment, and do you think there need to be urgent improvements in any regard?
Bangladesh has the political will to attract investors, and the government, in the form of, for example, an advisor to the Prime Minister, specifically in charge of, private sector investment. That's an important indication of the political will. And when there is a problem, we address those problems in cooperation with the government. But unfortunately, at the technical levels, in terms of customs clearances, in terms of some of the licenses that are needed to be starting a business, the bureaucracy is a bit more than perhaps what investors would like to see. So maybe reducing the amount of red tape would be a great incentive for the foreign investors in Bangladesh.
And as you know that Bangladesh will emerge from the ranks of the least developed countries, LDC, by the year 2026. Will this graduation impact the existing trade agreement between Turkey and Bangladesh?
No, it will not, because we did not have a kind of a preferential or free trade agreement because of the LDC status of Bangladesh. So it will not affect our trade, but of course it will affect Bangladesh's trade with other countries. So, for example, Turkey also has a customs union with the European Union, and it may actually be positive for us, because Bangladesh may find it interesting to partner with our companies to manufacture joint products and export them to the European markets through those joint ventures, either in Bangladesh or in my country. Because sometimes RMG sector needs to be close to the consumer market, and Turkey's position in that sense is very advantageous for some of the manufacturing companies to be close to the market. especially when shipping costs increase more than usual.
In 2019, Ankara launched its Asia Anew initiative, which seeks to boost the country's cooperation with Asian countries. Where does Bangladesh stand in that initiative as of now?
Bangladesh now is becoming more and more an important country in the Asia new foreign policy that we have, because the policy of a balanced foreign policy that Bangladesh is pursuing between various major power blocks in the region, not aligning with just one of them, but creating an even-handed approach is very much welcome by my government, because that is the sign of the maturity and independence of Bangladeshi foreign policy, so that we can collaborate with Bangladesh, more freely, more without any attachment to any of these blocks.
Ambassador Mustafa, we are now seeing many Western countries are forming their own Indo-Pacific strategies revolving around increasing their presence in the fastest growing region in the world. Does Turkey have its own Indo-Pacific strategy outlined, and if so, what role does Bangladesh play in that strategy?
Well, we don't call it Indo-Pacific strategy, but we are working on an Asia Anew strategy, so which covers all of Asia, not just Indo-Pacific. So I think some elements of this strategy will be made public soon, and we are currently working on this policy paper, and it will be revealed to public opinion once it's completed. And Bangladesh, as I said, future.
But you think that Indo-Pacific region is very important?
Yes, it is indeed. Especially Bay of Bengal, is a very strategic location, and Bangladesh, being in the center of Bay of Bengal, is occupying an important position between, as I said, various interest constellations. So I think in our own strategy as well, Bangladesh will be one of the key players to promote regional cooperation and bilateral relations that we have with this region.
Turkey is becoming a potential alternative source for Bangladesh to buy military hardware. In the first 4 months of 2021, Bangladesh imported $60 million worth of arms from Turkey, out of Turkey's total $1 billion USD in defense sales. What do you think is the future of a military cooperation between both countries?
I think those numbers are not
officially
very official, so I cannot reveal the numbers, but I can tell you that it's more than that. So in the past...
That's quite interesting. For some countries, maybe frustrating.
Oh no, our cooperation with Bangladesh in defense industry is not at the expense of any other country.
Okay.
These are defensive equipments that Bangladesh is purchasing from us, and it's a normal. It's just normal that countries buy weapons or hardware which reinforces their defense capabilities. So Turkey has emerged as one of the most reliable and logical partners of Bangladesh, because our hardware and equipment in defense industry is at the European standards, NATO standards, because we are a member of NATO. But our prices are maybe more reasonable compared to our competitors. We also do not attach political conditions to our defense cooperation. We are open to technology transfer and joint ventures, and we also have one project that is a joint venture with Bangladesh. So, all these factors make Turkey as a very interesting and reliable long-term partner for Bangladesh.
Defense military partner.
Yes.
Okay. Since 2012, Turkey has provided more than 75 million US dollar in humanitarian and development assistance to Bangladesh. Last year, in his visit, Turkish Interior Minister Süleyman Soylu has assured that Turkey would support Bangladesh in its efforts to tackle the Rohingya crisis. After a massive fire in the Rohingya refugee camp on March 22, 2021, the Turkish field hospital was quickly rebuilt on the orders of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Unfortunately, Bangladesh is still facing challenges in repatriating the Rohingya to their homeland due to a lack of interest from Myanmar. Do you think Turkey can play a bigger role in the process of repatriation process?
Well, we are already, since the beginning of the Rohingya crisis, playing a significant role. As you would recall, our First Lady was the first international dignitary who visited the camps back in 2017. And since then, our 4 different humanitarian and development agencies are operating in Cox's Bazar, and they are providing all kinds of humanitarian aid. We have a flagship project, which is a field hospital, which provides health services, quality health services, to more than 1,500 Rohingyas and members of host community in Camp 9 in Kutupalong area. And this is done through Turkish doctors and health professionals. And we will continue these projects. But you are right. I mean, the solution is repatriation. But unfortunately, the circumstances in Myanmar are not yet conducive for a safe, dignified, and voluntary repatriation. Everybody agrees on this, including the government of Bangladesh. Obviously, we are one of those countries as a member of OIC, supporting the government of Gambia, who took Myanmar to the International Court of Justice, and we are financing the legal team that is pursuing this case at the court together with Bangladesh. We are one of the very few countries who provide financial resources, because this case is really important to put pressure on Myanmar, and we are doing our best to encourage also other OIC members to provide financial support to this very expensive legal case. So I think that's one concrete example which we will continue to help Bangladesh with. But politically, we are raising the Rohingya crisis in United Nations, OIC, and other international fora to keep it on the agenda against the backdrop of emerging conflicts around the world.
Ambassador Mustafa, Turkish president has announced May 14th as the date for the country's next parliamentary and presidential elections. I'm sure Bangladesh will be closely watching the results of the elections. Do you believe that there might be any drastic changes in Turkey's foreign policy towards Bangladesh after the dust settles?
I don't think so, because our foreign policy is based on long-standing national interests, which usually do not change, from one government to the other. So I don't see any drastic change following the elections, whatever the result will be.
And it is visible to us that Turkey is the only NATO country that can have a dialogue with Russia at the moment. And Turkey has maintained great trade relations with Russia. Also, Turkey has remained consistent in backing Kiev, including in Crimea. How do you see this crisis panning out in the near future? And what role do you think Turkey will play in the conflict going forward?
Well, we are playing a mediation role. So as you recall, our president played a very significant role in striking a deal for the export of grain, Ukrainian grain, through our country, through the straits. Many ships are now carrying Ukrainian grain through our country. There is a mechanism that is established with the agreement of Russia, Ukraine, and our country. United Nations also support this agreement. So that somehow averted a food crisis around the world, a famine. A risk of famine and starvation has been prevented thanks to this agreement. So we also played a significant role in a prisoner swap agreement between Russia and Ukraine, which somehow elevated some of the serious problems between the two sides. But unfortunately, the fighting continues, and the two sides are not backing down on their positions or trying to reconcile their positions. So as long as this conflict, the military conflict continues, there is very little chance for the peaceful solution of the problem. As you said, our country has maintained dialogue with both sides. We are supporting territorial integrity of Ukraine, but at the same time we are not applying the sanctions, which are not the UN sanctions, but rather sanctions adopted by some countries. We do not apply those sanctions. So that gives us a possibility of remaining one of the very few countries to be able to talk to both sides and explore the possibility of a peaceful resolution of the conflict.
Ambassador Mustafa, in terms of boosting cultural exchange and people-to-people connections between Turkey and Bangladesh, what kind of activities can we expect from the Turkish mission in the near future?
During my tenure, I have organized many events, starting from Sufi encounters. We brought Sufi dervishes and musicians. I took them to Shilpakala Academy, to Silet, to Chittagong myself. They collaborated with their local counterparts in Sufi communities in Bangladesh. That highlighted our...
And you organized an event at
the embassy as well.
Embassy,
yes,
yeah.
yes. So these events highlighted our shared Sufi traditions. This was just one example. We also expect in the near future that our cultural exchanges will increase. We are hoping to invite more artists to my country. We have international art events where now Bangladeshi artists can participate. We are also hoping that a festival will be organized in Istanbul this year in September, where Bangladeshi artists can participate. I will also do my best as a friend of Bangladesh to support those activities
Some people say that you are the ambassador of Bangladesh to Turkey.
Yes, actually, I was very much highlighting in my social media accounts some of the facts that are not very well known about Bangladesh. The fact that, for example, Bangladesh has very strong civil society organizations, and their work is very impressive. The one example is BRAC, which is the world's largest NGO. I know very well what Friendship NGO is doing, bringing health services to the Chars, remote areas. How resilient the Bangladeshi population is not very well known by the world public opinion. So I was making some small contributions to get these facts known by the rest of the world. So that's why they call me, the brand ambassador of Bangladesh in other countries.
Indeed, that's great. And what do you think of potential cooperation between Turkey and Bangladesh in the education sector?
We are providing scholarships, and the number is increased from 50 to 100 scholarships every year. So up to 100, I would say, because sometimes the applications are not at the level of what is expected. But in general, there are very good students from Bangladesh studying in my country currently. More than 200 students are currently studying. We have provided more than 700 scholarships so far. So this is one area. But there are also students who are going more and more preferring Istanbul or other cities in my country to study without scholarship. So instead of going to some other countries, they find Turkey as a place where there is a similar culture, many interesting attractions in terms of historical and cultural sites. So they are more and more attracted. Of course, Turkish drama series is also playing an important role to make people curious about Turkey. So I think education is an area where we will improve.
Channel I also,
broadcast.
Broadcasting.
Exactly. So in the field of education, we would like to organize a fair in Bangladesh to explain the level of education in our universities, in our schools. So maybe we will have more students coming to my country in the near future because of these activities.
So after 3 years of your term, how did you find Bangladesh? Its culture, its citizens, its food, weather?
Weather is a bit different.
Traffic, Dhaka traffic.
Yes. No, let me start with the people because that's my favorite part. I really found Bangladeshi people one of the most hospitable people towards foreigners in particular. I don't know how hospitable and friendly they are between each other, but towards foreigners, especially me as a Turkish citizen, I find myself almost at home here. So for me, it was not. I was not feeling it in a foreign country. But in terms of the food, in the beginning it was a bit spicy for me. But the more I got used to the Bangladeshi cuisine, the more I liked it. Filsha fish and many other dishes were extremely delicious to taste. Bangladeshi households are very generous to offer all kinds of food. So I really enjoyed my stay. I'm very fond of Bangladeshi art, culture and literature and poems, Tagore, Kazi Nazrul Islam. So I attended Dhaka Lit Fest recently and enjoyed very much the conversations. I will, before I leave, I will attend the opening of Dhaka Art Summit. So many interesting events are taking place, and I really enjoyed my stay here.
And Ambassador, we are almost at the end of the program. Could you please sing a song?
You made me sing last time as well.
Yeah, I know.
But
I can remember.
I knew that you were going to ask me to sing, so I will try a new song because last time I was singing a Kazi Nazrul's adopted song, Katibim. So this time I will sing a Sileti song. So this song I heard for the first time in Silet, in Ratargul swamp forest.
Okay.
I don't know if you've been there. There are these tiny little boats that go through the forest. It's it's like water. The trees come out of the water.
Okay.
So you can go through the trees by small boats, and there are young boys who are rowing the boats. So our young boy suddenly started to sing a Sileti song, which I later on found out that it was really popular wedding song. So here you go.
Please.
Ailareno ya daman asmanero tera Bisana bisaya dilam shail damir nera daman o damango 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 Ailareno ya daman asmanero tera Bisana bisaya dilan shail damir nera damango 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 damango.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
don't know.
Your Sylheti accent, even Bangla, is also very good.
Thank you.
So, perhaps this is your farewell interview in Bangladesh.
Yes.
I think. So now it is time for that most inevitable question: will you miss Bangladesh?
Of course I will, without hesitation. But you know, I also say this: I will miss Bangladesh, and people say they will miss me, and I will tell them before we miss each other. I have this feeling that we will see each other again in Bangladesh or in Turkey. So there's no need to be sad about this. A goodbye is necessary before we see each other again.
Would you like to add anything we missed today?
No, I think we covered everything. I really appreciate your role as a journalist in Bangladesh. I know how hard you work, and I particularly appreciated your attempt and effort to bring different voices together. I have participated many events that you were organizing, and I've always seen different voices coming up and speaking their minds. So I would like to thank you, Zillur, for really creating that space for different voices. It's absolutely necessary, not only for Bangladesh, but in any country, including mine, to really have the possibility of having a constructive dialogue and conversation and discussion. Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, my friend, Your Excellency, for your valuable presence, thoughts. I will miss you. Bangladesh will miss you. We are blessed to have you with us for the past 3 years. We'd like to express our warm wishes for your upcoming responsibilities. Take care of yourself. Dear viewers, thank you for being with us. Indeed, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us.